Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Roger Paul, and tonight we're going to continue our study with a new paper, paper 38. And that starts on page 418 of the original Urantia book, and it's called Ministering Spirits of the Local Universe. Let me just make sure that I am recording here. Yep, I sure am. All right, so let's say a little prayer and we will get started. Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight that we might study your wonderful revelation for us. Pray that you'll open our hearts and minds that we might remember a little bit of it, share it with others. Pray that you'll bless us this holiday season and keep us our minds on the proper things. We thank you for all the ability to do this and all the friends and family that share their comments and enjoy the videos. And we say this in your name, in your son Michael's name, Jesus of Nazareth. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Diane, you want to take the first one there, dear?
Okay.
Oh, no, you're not. Okay.
Let me start over. Okay. There are three distinct orders of the personalities of the infinite spirit. The impetuous
Yeah.
apostle understood this when he wrote respecting Jesus, who has gone to heaven and is on the right hand of God, angels and authorities and powers being made subject to him. Angels are the ministering spirits of time, authorities, the messenger host of space powers, the higher personalities of the infinite spirit.
Roger, you're muted.
We're again here. Let's try this again. All right. So what they're saying here is the apostle, when he wrote about this, speaking of Jesus going on to heaven, it's on the right hand of God, his concept of heaven was different than what our concept of heaven is, right? So his concept of heaven would not include the mansion worlds and the capital and all that thing. He thinks that Jesus actually sits right next to God. But the idea of the angels, authorities, and powers, he was pretty much on track there, because the angels would be considered all the ministering spirits, all the seraphim and that sort of thing. The authorities would be the level of the messenger host of space and directors and that sort of thing. And then the higher personalities of the infinite spirit would be the 7 supreme executives and the 7 master spirits, right? So that he was pretty much on track on that. All right. Jane, would you take the next one, please? Hello, everybody, too. I didn't say hello to everybody.
Hello.
Hey. Okay. As the Supernaphim in the central universe and the Seconaphim in a super universe, so the Seraphim with the associated Cherubim and Sanobim constitute the angelic core of a local universe.
Okay, so what they're saying here is just like the Supernaphim is the main angels in the super universe, and in the central universe, that would include what? Paradise and Havona, right? The central universe. So the Supernaphim are the angels of that. The Seconaphim, the secondary Seconaphim, and the Tertiaphim are the angels of the super universe, the 7 super universes. So the Seraphim is the next level down. That's the local universe level. And the Seraphim, Cherubim, and Sanobim are the angelic core of the local universe. Okay. And I want to bring something up since we're talking about these. 2 things. If you click on Supernaphim on this page, it will take you to the topical index, which gives a great breakdown of all the different levels of the primary Supernaphim, the secondary Supernaphim, and the tertiary Supernaphim on this page. Okay. And what's nice about this is it tells you all the different types and what their jobs are. Okay. So it's a nice little breakdown of the Supernaphim. Also, if you click here where it says angels, it'll take you to another list, the orders of the angels themselves. And you'll see that right there where it says number 1, Supernaphim, 2, Seconaphim, 3, Tertiaphim, 4, Omniaphim, and then the Seraphim, Cherubim, and they include the midwayers in this list. Okay. So the Supernaphim would be what? The Paradise. And Havona, right? Seconaphim, Tertiaphim, and Omniaphim are all considered super universe level. Yeah, the 7 super universes, right? So the last 3 are considered local universe. Now, interesting thing we're going to find out in this paper tonight, that before the infinite spirit started producing angels, okay, and she started doing that when she obtained personality, and that was back when Michael and her were first creating the local universe. The interesting part of that is this: there was a group, I think it's 100 Omniaphim that were loaned to Michael from a neighboring local universe, okay? And that's what they used as the angelic core to start out with. There were also Seraphim that was loaned to us, and that was from the local universe of Avalon. Okay, so you remember that name probably sounds familiar to you because they speak of Avalon when they talk about the surgeons of Avalon creating bodies for the Caligastra 100 and Adam and Eve, both. Okay, so it was another local universe, Avalon, that provided these surgeons to make this possible.
So they must be further along.
They probably a lot further along than we are. Now, the interesting part is that when a creator's son goes out to create his local universe, he don't automatically have the support personnel he needs, does he? So that's why he was loaned this angelic core to come with him to start up the local universe. Now, I believe this is true with the archangels also. They loan them some archangels. So there's a whole group of angelic core that they get loaned from another local universe to get started. So I thought y'all would find that interesting. And one other thing before we move off of this is this. Y'all remember these books, the study aids of the Urantia Book? This is by Hera Davis. Everybody see that? Is that showing up on that?
Yeah.
Oh, you can see it? Okay. In this book, on page 11, under single origin beings, on the bottom of the page, down here, is a list of all the single origin beings, and all the angelic core are considered single origin beings because they're created just by the infinite spirit. I mean, just by the local universe mother spirit, is what I meant to say, right? So I thought I'd mention that. That's on page 11. On page 12, it has the ministering spirits of the central universe and Havona. It also has Orvanton, our local universe. And if you go over one more, it's got the whole breakdown of the ministering spirits of the super universe again. So this is a nice little book to look through for that too. I wanted to mention that tonight also. It's just the study aids. Most everybody bought this back when we were studying the Ford, I think. So, and if you need it again, you can email me and I'll tell you how to get it again. All right. Let's keep moving. Lech, would you take the next one, please?
Okay. The Seraphim are all fairly uniform in design. From universe to universe, throughout all 7 of the super universes, they show a minimum of variation. They are the most nearly standard of all spirit types of personal beings. Their various orders constitute the core of the skilled and common ministers of the local creations.
So you'll find the seraphim pretty much in every local universe, right? And they're pretty much close to being the same. And this is a breakdown of Salvington and some of the seraphim and where they're stationed on in our local universe. I thought that was an interesting slide, so I stuck it in there. All right, let's go on to the origin of the seraphim. Rodney, would you take that first one, please?
Yes. Seraphim are created by the Universe Mother Spirit and have been projected in unit formation 41,472 at a time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
He just said, wow.
Yeah. Ever since the creation of the pattern angels and certain angelic
archetypes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Archetypes in the early times of Nebadon, the Creator Son and the universe representation of the infinite spirit collaborate in the creation of a large number of sons and other universe personalities. Following the completion of this united effort, the Son engages in the creation of the material sons, the first of the sex creatures, while the Universe Mother Spirit concurrently engages in her initial solitary effort at spirit reproduction. Thus begins the creation of the seraphic host of a local universe.
Okay. So to understand this, we need to understand one thing. When the Creator Son started to create, first they created all the host of the local universe, like the Lananandek sons, the Verandadek sons, the Melchizedeks, and all those types of beings together, okay? When they got all those hosts together, then came the material sons and daughters, right? The Adams and Eves. And those were the first of the actual sexual creatures that Michael created by himself, right? He was the creator of all the material sons and daughters. While he was doing that, the local universe mother spirit created the whole host of the angelic support corps. That includes the seraphim, the cherubim, and the Sanobim, okay? So those were all created by her. So if you think about it, it works like this. The material sons and daughters are single origin beings, aren't they? Because they came from Michael. The angelic core are what? Single origin beings, correct? Makes sense? All right. Now, an interesting part is this. Remember that the local universe mother spirit gives the spark of life to create us. Remember that? Okay. So since she gives the spark of life to start the creation of human beings, the first human beings on the planet are what? Single origin beings, aren't they? But when Adam and Eve comes, Adam and Eve amalgamates with the population of the earth. So you have a single origin being through Adam and Eve and a single origin being through the local universe mother spirit. You with me still?
Mm-hmm.
When the amalgamation starts and the material sons and daughters start to mix with the local population of the earth, all those beings that come afterwards are what? Dual origin beings. Make sense? Because, yeah.
Just the mortals that receive Adam and Eve's blood, correct?
That's right. That's correct. That is correct. All right. The point is this, Rodney. The plan, God's plan was this. This is why the plan of Adam and Eve was so important. And when Eve defaulted, it was a major issue. Okay? Because the plan is this. Adam and Eve's blood was to mix with all the races, every single one of them. Okay? So by mixing Adam and Eve's blood with the races of the planet, we become dual origin beings. So we got only a small amount of that blood. So the mixing of that blood is taking eons and eons and eons of time for it to catch up. Okay, so eventually all beings on our planet will be dual origin beings. Make sense? Because eventually, because of the mixing of the races, the marrying of the races, having babies, that sort of things, it will create dual origin beings into the future from now on. Okay, so the mixing of Adam and Eve's blood was very, very important. When Eve short-circuited the program, it messed up the whole plan. You see why the angel in the garden said, "You're fixing to default from God's plan"? That's what they're talking about. Okay? Yeah, Rodney.
I have not read the Adam and Eve pages in quite a long time. I have forgotten, how did they get to the planet? So the material.
They came by seraphic transport, just like we would travel if we went to the mansion worlds.
So they did bring their bodies here.
No, they did not bring their bodies here, only their souls. Their bodies were created by the surgeons of Avalon. Okay?
Then that's what the question goes to. If the bodies are created.
Okay, go ahead. You came back again. What was that question again?
If the bodies are created here locally, is that
right?
What does that do with the blood?
Well, they took the DNA patterns from the same type of beings of the Caligasser 100. They took the DNA patterns from that, and then they actually modified those DNA patterns to match a material son and daughter from Jerusalem, or a material son and daughter from any system capital, right? So when they did that and they modified that DNA, it changed the DNA, so that's how they became the violet race. So when they got those bodies, they were literally the violet race. It was a reproduction, if you would, of the bodies they had on Jerusalem, right? But it was also mixed at that point with the DNA of the planet. You follow me? So correct. They mixed the two together at that point, right? That allowed that mixture of blood to commingle with the local tribes.
Yeah, I understand.
Because if the surgeons of Avalon had not done that, there could have been a big rejection of the blood of Adam and Eve with the blood of the local inhabitants. Right. They wouldn't match. So by doing this, they not only matched, they could go ahead and do their mission and upstep the races. Now that was the plan, okay? At this point, we're probably admixed to the point that there's enough of the blood of Adam and Eve admixed with all the races that we would be considered dual origin beings regardless, right? At this point. So, but we have to understand, we didn't start out that way. We started out much like the angelic core, right? Because we came from the womb, the local universe mother spirit, right?
Correct.
And it's not that important you understand all this, but if you understand this, you can understand why the plan of God was so important for Adam and Eve to fulfill their mission, right?
That's interesting. Thank you.
Brings it all to light. All right. So let's keep going here. what I'm trying to do, I know it's beating all this together, but I really feel if you understand these paragraphs one at a time, it makes it all come together, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, yeah. So the Mother Spirit creates these angels, 41,472 at a time. And it says ever since the creation of the pattern angels, certain angelic archetypes in the early times of Nebadon, right? So what they're saying here is this: the creation of angels has never stopped. That's what I'm saying here, okay? It keeps going on with each and every new planet that comes online. We know we're only about a third of the way up to our 10 million planets. So every planet that comes online, what do they need more of?
Angels.
Angels, right?
Yeah.
For the population, you know? So the local universe Mother Spirit still is creating these beings on and on. Okay, so here it talks about in this slide how the universe Mother Spirit Michael created all these sons of God, right? All the way down to the life carriers. But Michael Michael created the material sons and daughters, right? And then what happens is the local universe Mother Spirit created all the angels, or the seraphic battalions and stuff. All right. Okay. A lot to get there. Gary, would you take the next one?
These angel orders are projected at the time of planning for the evolution of mortal will creatures. The creation of Seraphim dates from the attainment of relative personality by the universe Mother Spirit, not as the later coordinate of the Master Son, but as the early creative helper of the Creator Son. Previous to this event, the Seraphim on duty in Nebadon were temporarily loaned by a neighboring university.
Yeah, there's it right there. So we were loaned Seraphim from a neighboring universe, and up to that point. Now, what they're talking about here, the projected time of evolution, right, is they know pretty much about how many angelic core they're going to need, but what they're trying to make us understand is this attainment of relative personality. Remember, we talked about when Michael returned from his bestowal and the local universe Mother Spirit personality came into full fruition at that point. Remember that?
Yes.
Okay, that's why they're saying this here. That was only 1900 or 2000 years ago now, right? But what they're saying here is that the creation of the Seraphim does not date from that time. It dates from the attainment of her relative personality. In other words, this is the personality that she was granted by the infinite spirit back when they first started. But she didn't come into her full personality until Michael returned from Earth. Remember that?
Yes.
On the Jubilee of Jubilees. Okay.
Yeah.
So she had started creating these seraphim back when they first started creating the local universe. It was much, much further back, right? Millions and millions of years. All right. Diane, you're up again there.
2 angelic natures.
No.
No?
Yeah, it should be.
Seraphim.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Seraphim are still being periodically created. The universe of Nebadon is still in the making. The universe Mother Spirit never ceases creative activity in a growing and perfecting universe.
Okay, so she just creating seraphim on and on as we need them, right? Huh? She's busy, little bee, right? Okay, angelic natures. Jane, would you take the first one under angelic natures, please?
Okay, angelic natures. Angels do not have material bodies, but they are definite and discrete beings. They are of spirit nature and origin. Though invisible to mortals, they perceive you as you are in the flesh without the aid of transformers or translators. They intellectually understand the mode of mortal life, and they share all of man's non-sensuous emotions and sentiments. They appreciate and greatly enjoy your efforts in music, art, and real humor. They are fully cognizant of your moral struggles and spiritual difficulties. They love human beings, and only good can result from your efforts to understand and love them.
Okay, so they're pretty much like we are then, right? With the exception is they don't have sensuous emotions or sex feelings, right? They don't understand that because they're not a sex creature, right? They can't reproduce. So since they have no reproductive capabilities, they don't understand the emotions involved in doing that, right? So other than that, every other emotion that they have, they feel those emotions too. So the other interesting part here is they're invisible to mortals, but it's interesting because a seraphim, if it chooses to, with permission, can make itself what? Visible.
Visible.
Yeah, sure can. All right. Let's
Roger.
Yeah.
Because they appreciate real humor,
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if they ever, one of them finds a good joke that us mortals have told, and they take it to their
Pass it on. Anything's possible. Of course, their humor is probably a little cleaner than our humor is, I would think.
Different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Humor could be the cause of some of these apparitions that people see on these television shows with the ghost hunters and stuff.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, that very well could be the case, Gary. It really is. There's some explanation for it because we know there's no ghosts left on the planet, right? When someone dies, they don't hang around here. They're either taken, their soul's taken away by a guardian seraphim. There's no personality left on the planet for it to manifest itself, right? Mm-hmm. But we have an interesting possibility. We've discussed this before that, because of time and space, it does not mean that a certain amount of something that's happened in history on this planet could not get caught in a metaphysical loop on another level. In other words, it just plays itself over and over and over again, where there's actually no one there. It's just the physical manifestation of something that's happened that keeps playing over and over and over again. And it may be important, it may not be, right? But it's probably like I think of more a tear in the fabric of the different levels of existence, right? Just like a different dimension, really. And that could explain some of it too, right? So it's interesting. There's a lot of interesting possibilities, right? A lot of stuff they don't tell us too. All right.
I had a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Letch.
I know that there are some people that live this life and have never had the opportunity for various reasons to have a sexual, sensual life in their life. Right. Are they allowed to experience that in the mansion world as a source of continued spiritual progression that they missed out on?
No, Letch, they're not. You know how they gain that experience? They assign them to a material son and daughter, and they have to get it through observation of the material son and daughter living with them and experiencing their children and that sort of thing. So that's the only way they can gain that experience. Now, it's interesting because that is a required experience to graduate from all 7 of the mansion worlds. Mm-hmm. And, you know, so it's interesting how they must assign the mortals that go through that to material son and daughter or whatever, and then they have to go through an observation period to experience the aspects of sex in their life, right? Because it is a required experience. You know, it can't be as good as the real thing, though. You know, it would be like
I can imagine,
yeah. I can't either. But
does it actually says that in the book?
Huh?
Is that exactly how they pronounce it? Is through observation?
Pretty much. That's what they say in the book about everyone's required certain experiences in their life. And if you don't experience those things, then you have to gain that experience through either a material son and daughter or even the children. You know, when the children are taken to the Father's world because they died early, they get a physical body much like we do here, and they have to go through certain things. They have to experience certain things. So some of it may be through observing the children too. So who knows? But there's certain experiences everyone has to do. You know, just like a good example of that is this. Just like it says in the book, all beings have to have the experience of raising at least 3 children. You know, it says that. So if you never had children, somebody like me, I've never had children, right? So I have to either gain that experience through the material sons and daughters, children, or I have to gain it through the infants on the Father's world that are growing up. You'll be assigned a child, and you'll have to go through all that child's life until the age of decision to gain that experience as a parent. Make sense?
Makes sense.
So
yeah.
you don't get out of anything. And the reason they do that, because it's so important to gain experience as a mother and a father, right? Men have to do it and women have to do it both. So if a woman never has a child and she gets to the mansion world, she'll be assigned to the nursery world to at least gain experience raising 3 children.
Roger, right? The age of experience, or what would you call it? Age of decision. Yeah, on the mansion world, on the prison worlds, the father's world where all the children go, they say the age of decision is anywhere from 16 to 18 years of age normally. And by the time they get to about 18 to 20, they have to make a permanent decision. You remember how I mentioned this over and over again? Life, sooner or later, you have to make a permanent survival experience. And the children do the exact same thing. And if they choose not to survive, guess what happens to them? Erased.
Extinguished.
Yep. It's as though they never existed. They're that makes who they are taken away. All right. It's the same way for everybody. There's no exceptions. So by about 18, our job, if we're assigned children on the children's world, is to do what? Bring spiritual concepts to light, right? So our job as parents will be to teach the children. They'll have a thought adjuster. We need to teach them how to communicate with that thought adjuster, trust that thought adjuster, and what is to come. Just because they wake up on the Father's world does not necessarily mean they're going to have that much more advantage than any other child that's born on any other planet. So it's our responsibility to train them, show them the right way, just like with our own children. That's our responsibility too, right? right? Gary, you're quite familiar with that. You've had foster children and everything else. You've had to show them the way through life, have you not?
I think so. I tried to.
Tried to as best you could, couldn't you? So yeah. that's part of, that's an experience. That's experience that you experienced that already. So you won't have to go through this, but I have not had that privilege of doing that. So I'll have to go through it from scratch, right?
Yeah, well, mine were actually mine were adopted, so they weren't foster.
Yeah, adopted child. Well, same principle, you know, because when we get to the mansion worlds, we will be assigned and adopt a child or 3 children to raise, right? Lots of babies don't make it, right, to the mansion, you know, to the age of decision. So they go on to the mansion worlds, right? People think just because they get to 5.5 years old and they get a thought adjuster, that if they get that thought adjuster, if they hadn't made the decision, they won't go to the mansion world. That's not true. They have to reach an age where they're capable of making that decision, or they'll automatically go to the mansion worlds, right? So, but each person has to make that permanent decision. All right. Let's go on. I forget who's, I think Let's you're up again.
Okay. Is it 3823?
2, I think.
Oh, okay. Though Seraphim are very affectionate and sympathetic beings, they are not sex emotion creatures. They are as much as you will be on the mansion worlds, where you will neither marry nor be given in marriage, but will be as the angels of heaven. For all who shall be accounted worthy to attain the mansion worlds, neither marry nor are given in marriage, neither do they die anymore, for they are equal to the angels. Nevertheless, in dealing with sex creatures, it is our custom to speak of those beings of more direct descent from the Father and the Son as the sons of God, while referring to the children of the Spirit as the daughters of God. Angels are therefore commonly designated by feminine pronouns on the sex planets.
Okay, so I'm going to give y'all some real bad news. When you get to the mansion worlds, there isn't any sex anymore. Okay?
Now, you just explained why it's through observation.
Huh? Yeah. That's
it's
why.
Comprehensible now.
It's comprehensible now. That's right.
Yeah.
That's why there's no sex in the mansion worlds, though, because we get new bodies, right? Urantia bodies. Mm-hmm. They don't have reproductive capabilities any longer. So there's no reason to have sex any longer, right? Yeah. Since we're not reproducing. Okay. That's why they say you're not neither married nor given in marriage in the mansion worlds. Now, that does not mean that when you get to the mansion worlds, if you were married on this planet, you can choose to stay with your mate from this planet indefinitely. Make sense? That's a choice when you get there. But once you get there, if you think you never got married and you're going to get to the mansion world and you're going to find a mate and you're going to get married there, that's not going to happen, right? Just not.
Well, it would be of a different nature of a relating.
It's a totally different relationship. So those relationships you have on this earth, your husband or wife or family or whatever, those relationships stays the same, okay? But you're just not bound by marriage to anyone any longer. But you'll still see your mother and your father and your brothers and sisters. They'll still be your brothers and sisters and mother and father. If you're husbands and wife and you choose to stay together, you'll consider each other husband and wife, just like you do here. And none of that changes. The only thing that changes is we don't have sex reproduction capabilities any longer, right? So that stops. And it mentions here, when they're dealing with sex creatures like we are, it's custom to refer to the descending beings of the Father and the Son, or the sons of God, as the sons of God. And the spirit beings are all considered daughters of God. So all the descendant beings of the infinite spirit and the local universe spirit are considered daughters of God. Okay. Female. Yeah.
Then Emmanuel is a woman.
No, Emmanuel is a man, considered a son of God, because he's the representative of the Trinity, right? But Gabriel is called a he. Now, how that is, I guess because Gabriel was created by Michael and the infinite spirit, right? He's the exception, right? So they always call him a he, right? I guess you could call him a she, it wouldn't matter. But he is considered a he because he came from Michael and the infinite spirit. All other angelic core beings are considered female because they all came from just the infinite spirit. Now, we're going to find out in the paragraph a little bit later that there's another 6 groups of angelic beings that are unrevealed to us. We just learned about the Seraphim, but there's other angelic beings in our local universe that they don't tell us anything about, right? Okay, because they have nothing to do with our ascension plan. Okay.
Roger?
Yeah.
It's not that angels have feminine attributes. It's just that, I mean, they're not sex animals at all.
At all, no.
They're referred to as female.
Right. They are considered positive and negative, right? Dominant and passive, but they're not considered male and female. Right.
Correct. Just it's.
Yeah, just it's. And since they come from the infinite spirit, which is a she, they consider them all she's. Right.
Understood.
Yeah. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Rodney, would you take the next one?
Yes.
The Seraphim are so created?
The Seraphim are so created as to function on both spiritual and literal levels. There are a few phases of Urantia or spirit activity which are not open to their ministrations. While in personal status, angels are not so far removed from human beings, and certain functional performances, Seraphim far transcend them. They possess many powers far beyond human comprehension. For example, you have been told that the, quote, very hairs of your head are numbered. And it is true, they are. But a Seraphim does not spend her time counting them and keeping the number corrected up to date. Angels possess inherent and automatic, that is, automatic as far as you could perceive, powers of knowing such things. You would truly regard a Seraphim as a mathematical prodigy. Therefore, numerous duties, which would be tremendous tasks for mortals, are performed with exceeding ease by Seraphim.
Well, my Seraphim wouldn't have much to keep track of. You know, if she can count to 10, you know, she's got most of it. Getting less and less. So they can count the hairs of your head. That's how well they know you. That's just like something to let you know they know everything there is to possibly know about you when they are assigned to you, right? So I wouldn't sit around and worry about whether your Seraphim can count your hairs. So
they're extremely personal.
Extremely personal. That's right. Both spiritual and literal levels. That's why they say that here. Okay.
So would the Seraphim be considered guardian angels then?
Yes. Yes, that's what they are. The Seraphim are guardian angels. Okay. And you're assigned 2 of them because they work in pairs, right? Soon as you reach this third psychic circle, you're assigned 2 personal ones. Up to that point, you're in a group with other people that have the same angel. Okay, so when you hit that third psychic circle, you're assigned personally 2 seraphim and 2 cherubim, actually a cherubim and a Sanobim. Okay, so that's 4 angels, right? Or 2 pairs. Okay, so as soon as you heard that, reach that age of enlightenment where you're ready for it, they will assign them to you. Okay. Gary, would you take the next one? Angels are superior to you in spiritual status.
Angels are superior to you in spiritual status, but they are not your judges or accusers. No matter what your faults, good. The angels throughout, although greater in power and might, bring no accusations against you. Angels do not sit in judgment on mankind. Neither should individual mortals prejudge their fellow creatures.
So they're just there to help you, no matter how good or bad you are, right? Another thing about this is important is when they bring your record, your spiritual record for judgment after you die to determine whether you're going to go on or not. They don't make any judgment about that record. They just relay to the Ancients of Days where you are, how you are, and to what point you are in your life. So they don't make any judgments that, they don't get up in front of the Ancients of Days through reflectivity and say, this guy is so rotten, I don't know how you could let him go, So, that's not their job to do that. Okay, they just say, here's the life, here's what he did, this is, or she did, and this is how it worked out. So, and then it's other beings that make that judgment, not them. So the point is, since the angels don't judge us, we have no right to judge other people, other beings, right?
Correct.
It's hard to get through life not doing that, I can tell you.
Yeah.
So anyway. Okay, Diane, would you take the next one, dear?
Angels are superior to you in spiritual status, but they are not your judges or... I just read. You do well to love them, but you should not adore them. Angels are not objects of worship. The great seraphim...
Loyalita.
Not
Loyalisha.
Okay. When your seer fell down to worship before the feet of the angel, said, see that you do it not. I am a fellow servant with you and with your races, who are all enjoined to worship God.
You're muted, Roger.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. Do you think if it was an angel that would appear before Moses on the mountain, the burning bush, you think if it was an angel, he would have let Moses fall to his feet
No.
or fall to his knees?
Nope.
No.
Not likely, right? So it must not have been an angel if that really happened, right? Think of it that way. Interesting observation. Also, when the angels appeared before Eve in the garden, do you think that that angel would let Eve fall to her knees in front of her?
They'd probably say something,
Yeah.
And don't worry about it.
Yeah. We're part of the crew, right?
Even Jesus did that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he did. That was before he was sovereign, though, right? I mean, I think him being sovereign of our local universe now, I think would only be appropriate if you appeared before Jesus, that you would fall to your knees, right?
Darn straight.
Out of respect, right?
I think you should just keep on going.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Jesus washing the feet of the apostles.
That's right.
He's humbled himself.
Yeah.
And he didn't expect them to worship him in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, it was all about service. He's trying to teach him service, right? And he did that all the way through his life. It was all about service to other human beings. And that's the point, right? Jane, would you take the next one?
Okay.
2 seconds.
In nature and personality endowment, the Seraphim are just a trifle ahead of mortal races in the scale of creature existence. Indeed, when you are delivered from the flesh, you become very much like them. On the mentioned words, you will begin to appreciate the Seraphim on the constellation spheres to enjoy them, while on Salvington, they will share their places of rest and worship with you. Throughout the whole Urantia and subsequent spirit ascent, your fraternity with the Seraphim will be ideal. Your companionship will be superb.
So they'll become some of our best friends when we get to the mansion world. Yeah. All right. 650. Let's get through this next paragraph. The unrevealed angels. All right. Lech, would you take the next one, please, for us?
Okay. Numerous orders of spirit beings function throughout the domains of the local universe that are unrevealed to mortals because they are in no manner connected with the evolutionary plan of paradise ascension. In this paper, the word angel is purposely limited to the designation of those seraphic and associated offspring of the universe mother spirit who are so largely concerned with the operation of the plans of mortal survival. There serve in the local universe 6 other orders of related beings, the unrevealed angels, who are not in any specific manner connected with those universe activities pertaining to the paradise ascent of evolutionary mortals. These 6 groups of angelic associates are never called seraphim, neither are they referred to as ministering spirits. These personalities are wholly occupied with the administrative and other affairs of Nebadon, engagements which are in no way related to man's progressive career of spiritual ascent and perfection attainment.
So there's another 6 orders of beings like angels that take care of other things other than our paradise ascension plan, right? And transporting souls. So that's these other 6 orders of angels, and they kind of almost don't want to call them seraphim, but they are considered ministering spirits because they do a lot of the support work, right? It's interesting because if you look at the angels of our planet, there's 12 orders of angels on our planet that are related to different things on our planet, not having to do with the mortal ascension plan. Okay, so we even have angels on our planet that are like these, that are doing this sort of thing, right? All right. And I think we'll stop there and go with the seraphic worlds next time in section 4. So we got quite a ways today. We did pretty good. So let's say a little prayer and we'll quit for today. Let me stop the share so everybody can see everybody here. Whew. Interesting paper, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, all right. Let's see. Anybody want to volunteer to pray tonight? I get into trouble every time I do this. Y'all are such good volunteers.
Look at it from my point of view. I have the reputation of having the most distinctly worst prayer in the history of this group.
Who said that?
To supersede myself.
Well, if you are the worst prayer of the group, Gary, it's your turn tonight. Should have kept your mouth shut, right? Practice makes perfect, right?
There is no such thing, Gary. There is no such thing.
No such thing as a bad prayer of any kind. You know,
it's all from the heart.
Thank you. That's right. So let us have it, Gary. What's on your mind?
You're going to get it, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this.
Dear Father, give us the wisdom to understand your message that you conveyed to us. Let us be able to commune with our spirit adjuster, stot adjuster, and let us implement on earth here your principles that are in heaven, so that we may enhance our lives, our spiritual attainment, and those around us. Amen.
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 Thank
Amen.
you.
That's a lot better than my starting prayer tonight was, Gary.
Thank you. I would call
Y'all
that a
got to
perfect
understand.
prayer.
When I get started, I have to start 3 different recordings. I got a dozen different things going on, you know. So praying it all is just good, whatever happens, you know. All right. Well, y'all, we will see you next time. Let me stop the live Facebook first. Okay, and stop my recording.